Hey girls, it's Tuesday! This week we're going to be talking about books, because we're uncreative and we're four nerdy girls, and this is our second week, so we're going with the books. Sam did her top four, but I'm just going to do my top two, because these are the two books that mean the most to me. There's also Harry Potter, but that is just a whole nother, it doesn't even count as books, that's just a whole nother thing. So we are going to go with my top two books. The first book I'm going to be talking about is Catcher in the Rye, which is probably a book a lot of you have been forced to read for English class, and unfortunately, probably a book that a lot of you hate, and a lot of you might hate the protagonist, Holden Caulfield, but I'm here to tell you that your hatred is completely unjustified, and I am mad at you for your hatred. For those of you who have not read the book, basically it's about this kid. He just got kicked out of his high school, his boarding school, and he's not allowed. He doesn't want to go home yet because he doesn't want to tell his parents, and it's right before winter break. So he spends those first few these days before winter break in New York City. Of course, though, with any book, it's a lot more than just that. Holden is a character who is in between a lot of things. He's in this room, this in-between sort of room, and he's in between adulthood and childhood. He's in between this point where he doesn't know if he wants people to matter to him or if he wants more to matter, if he needs to protect people or if he needs to be protected. He doesn't realize that he can have both of those things because he is so stuck in this room and stuck in this middle. He hates himself. If you don't think he hates himself, then you're just wrong. He does. He's very cynical and hypocritical about the world. But he's very cynical about the world because he's very cynical about himself, and he doesn't believe in himself. And he's one of those people who has a lot of bad parts. I am not going to deny that. He is rude and hypocritical and, like I've been saying, cynical, but he also has a lot of good. A lot of good in him, and he's a beautiful person. And when you read this book, Holden gives all of himself to you. He lays himself out for you. He gives you parts of himself I don't even think he realizes he has, parts of himself he doesn't even recognize. And when you get to see a person like that, you get to see a person fully like that unfold themselves, that is something sort of beautiful. Reading this story is beautiful. You get to see somebody completely vulnerable, and you get to see their bad parts, but you get to see their good parts. And if you come away from this book only seeing Holden's bad parts, then you haven't read it right. You need to go back and read it again, because there is so much good that Holden has to offer you, and so much good that you can take away from this book, and you should read it again. Because if you only got the bad, then you're doing it wrong. This book is especially important to me because I read it at a point where I was in that in-between stage, I think, where I was a very hypocritical, cynical little girl who didn't like herself and didn't like where she was going and was in between a lot of things. And after reading this book, I got out of that. I learned to get out of that. But because of that, I understand where Holden's coming from, and I want to get him out of there, and no matter how many times I read this book, I can't do it, and it drives me crazy. I am very protective of Holden. I love him. I would do anything for him. And he's a fictional character, but I would literally do anything for this kid. The second book I'm going to be talking about is The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. It's set in Nazi Germany. And it's narrated by Death, and he tells the story of this girl named Liesel, who lives with her foster parents, and she's a little German girl in Nazi Germany. She, in the beginning of the book, steals, at her little brother dies, and at her little brother's funeral, she steals the Gravedigger's Handbook, and she can't read, but she's obsessed with wanting to read, and eventually her foster father, who can't read very well himself, teaches her how to read, and she falls in love with words. She falls in love with words and stories, but most importantly, because of that, she falls in love with people. And I think that's the thing about this book. A a lot of people think it's just about words, and words are my favorite thing in the entire world. I love words. People have told me I am words. And what the story really is great about is that transformation between how words are people. Yes, Liza loves words and she loves stories, but because she loves words and she loves stories, she loves people. And because this book is beautifully written and beautifully told and woven and encompassed with beautiful words, you get to see how beautiful people are. The characters in this story are brilliant, they are vivid, and they are captivating, and they are alive, and they are not perfect. They're not Mary Sue's or anything like that. These are real people, and they have flaws, and they have bad things about them, but you won't care. You will just love them. Her best friend, Rudy, is wonderful. He loves her so much, and he is such a good person. All these people, not all of them, and even the ones that aren't as good as you would think, are still good. There's good in them. You'll find good, and that's a book. This is a book that makes you want to see the good in people. It's not, whereas Catcher in the Rye, it's maybe easy to see the bad in Holden, and this book is a book that wants you to recognize the beauty of humanity. The brutality too, the horrible parts too. It'll make you see that, but at the end of the day, it will make you realize that people are beautiful. And it's a book that you will fall in love with. It will become a part of you. You might forget the plot of this, parts of the plot. I mean, it's a pretty general plot. You will forget plot holes. You will forget little parts of the story, but you will never forget these characters. Ever. Never forget the people in the story. And that's what makes it great. It's a story about people, and it's people who I can promise will matter to you and will become a part of you. Yay! Okay, so basically, books make you realize that people are beautiful. Appreciate people. People are crazy and amazing and awesome, and these stories hopefully will make you realize that. It's part of why they're my favorite books. I hope you like them if you go and read them if you haven't yet. Mariah, I will see you tomorrow. Today is going to be awesome because me and Ella are watching Peter Pan. What up?